So you're here today to help us shape the future of the Tweed. And I want to take this opportunity to personally thank you for your interest and your willingness to work with us to make sure we have a clear vision for all of our priorities, and that importantly, that the work we do over the next decade within Tweed represents the aspirations of the community. And while today's event is not about floods, I wanted to start by giving you a short update on the recovery efforts and the impact this flood has had here in the Tweed. Some of the issues we have had in that we've been dealing with in the last couple of months help to crystallise our priorities and help us better understand what is truly important to us and our community. This flood impacted of Tweed than ever before, and Tweed Heads and Chinda in the north, down through the coastal villages to Wooyong in the south, and out to our communities at Tumbulgum, Condong, South Murwillumbah, Mooball, Bunningbar, Yukai, Birrell and Birrell Creek on the Shire's western border. Tragically, the disaster resulted in 2 lives, including a member of the Birrell Creek community and a Wooyong resident who lost his life in floodwaters at Currumbin Valley. Thousands of homes and commercial properties in the Tweed were inundated in the flood, and more than 2,440 rapid impact assessments showed that around 500 homes have unfortunately been declared uninhabitable. It is estimated that this flood has cost local businesses more than $57 million in damages and lost trade. In significant damage to council's roads, water supply, wastewater system, buildings, equipment and parks, with our most recent damage estimate expected to be somewhere between $70 and $85 million. More than 60 council buildings were severely impacted by the flood, while a further 20 buildings suffered minor to moderate damage. Our teams have been working with council's insurers to assess damage and prioritise our repairs. We've begun stripping damaged buildings and planning repairs, including to water and sewerage infrastructure, sports fields, river revetment and the cemetery. The Stotts Creek Resource Recovery Centre, or our TIP as it is affectionately known, has accepted almost 620 tonnes and 900 tonnes of asbestos. At one point it was receiving around 1,100 tonnes of waste per day. Landfill and the management of waste has been a hot topic for some time, and it is even more important now as everyone in our region grapples with the huge amounts of waste generated by the flood. How we manage resource recovery and waste is a strategic issue for our community now and in the longer term, and another item for us to consider in today's discussions. The damage of our road network is extremely significant in western parts of the Shire and along Kyogle Road, and cop the brunt of the deluge. Engineers have started prioritising road repairs with more than 2,000 logs so far, already far exceeding the 1,600 repairs required after the 2017 flood, and we're expecting more repairs to be logged. If you've checked our website, we've got great information on our website on the repairs that we're currently undertaking, and we keep that regularly updated if you're interested in where that's. Permanent flood repair works that do not require significant engineering have started, and over the next month, council and contractor road crews will be working at more than 200 locations across the Tweed. And I just want to acknowledge our Mayor who's arrived, Mayor Cherry, so thank you. Several significant landslides, including at Road, Senior Drive and Reserve Creek Road, and damage to the road network and will take a significant time to repair. But I am pleased to say that we're already out for tender for some of those works. Geotechnical assessments are also underway at some of our more complex and large road network damages, and you can stay up to date, as I said, by checking our website. These works reinforce how important it is that we maintain a safe road and connected road network, And at times like these, we understand just how important this is for us all to be able to confidently go about our daily lives. We've also got a section on our website with regards to potholes, and as I've said, we've got a lot of those already logged, but we do encourage, if you see them, to go and log those. We are aware of them. It's extremely difficult to repair those when they're wet and full of water though, because it doesn't bond properly. So, out and about. Although Council has access to some federal and state disaster funding to help meet some of the needs of our flood recovery costs, it's an important reminder also to us that we need to be responsible with balancing our. I'm really proud that we are a council that has got a really good record of good financial management and sticking to our 10-year long-term financial plan. Council has a responsibility to maintain our infrastructure and assets for the community. We ensure that we have the funds available to support the commitment, as well as funding and services for our Shire. Keep this in mind in today's discussion, as this responsible governance will be an important aspect of making on our long term. Recognise and shout out to all the clean-up crew, including council workers, volunteers, contractors and the defence personnel who have worked so hard to get through the mammoth task so efficiently. We are very grateful to each of them. And also to our rescue crews, the SES, for example, and our police, our rural fire services and Tweed Rescue, who've done a fantastic job in supporting our community, and the very many volunteers. And to you, our community, who have time and again come together at a time of crisis, I thank you. It really brings home the importance of nurturing a strong community, supporting each other and caring for those in our community who are vulnerable. Now, in the aftermath of the flood, but we also want to support our community to care for one another at any time. You can stay up to date on Tweed's flood recovery through our council webpage and through our social media channels, including Facebook, our Tweed emergency dashboard, and for more information on road hazards or closures, you can visit My Road Info. This week's edition of the Tweed Link also has an update and has those URL addresses for people if you want to check that out on our website. Now, turning to the reason why we're here, every council in the community has an opportunity to influence the long-term plan for the Tweed and set the vision for the future of the city. Council then responds by making sure its priorities are designed to meet the community's ambitions for Tweed. The Community Strategic Plan describes the community vision and aspirations for the next 10 years. The Tweed Community Strategic Plan was last drafted in 2017, and we now have reviewed it to make sure it still reflects your priorities for the future. If you're wondering why it's been reviewed 5 years after it was last adopted, there's a statutory requirement that we review it every time following within 12 months of a council election. We've been engaging with the community in a range of ways to make sure that our vision, priorities and goals outlined in our Community Strategic Plan are still relevant. And we've made some changes to this redraft that better reflect the current community views. Our Director of Corporate Services, Warren Van Wyk, will go into this in a little more detail in a short while. We've reviewed other relevant state and regional plans to make the Community Strategic Plan is aligned with them, and all levels of government are working together to ensure the same vision for the Tweed. We've also sought to understand our community's unique challenges and opportunities and make sure that the priorities and goals we include in the Community Strategic Plan work toward making the most of the opportunities in front of us and mitigate the risks that challenge our Shire at the present time. When we look at the challenges and opportunities facing our Shire in the next 10 years, there are unique challenges presented to us by geography, impacts of climate change, a growing and ageing population, complex social issues, our local economy, and the list goes on. One of the biggest challenges facing our Shire is ensuring that housing opportunities and essential services meet the needs of our growing population and demographic profiles. We've been hearing that loud and clear from our community in the wake of the pandemic, but the recent floods have made this even more pressing at the moment. It is not only our population that is the challenge, but also weather events, not only the local environment, but also the community, including our local economy, land use, infrastructure and health, to name a few. We have an opportunity in the next 10 years to facilitate council infrastructure, essential services, existing new development to reduce emissions, mitigate climate change risks and adapt to emerging risks of the changing climate. We also have an opportunity to support and empower community-led response and resilience initiatives and build community capacity to respond and recover from natural disasters. And our community at Tumbulgum is a great example of a community that's following the 2017 floods to do exactly that, and we saw the benefits following the floods. We're very lucky here in the Tweed that we have a locational advantage of freight and logistics, being within easy reach of southeast Queensland, Sydney and Southeast Asian markets. On the other hand, we also face the challenge of limited employment land being available for new or expanding businesses. We expect that major new urban growth areas in the Tweed, including Kings Forest and Cobbacai Lakes, will play a role in helping to strengthen our economy by opening up new markets and strengthening existing sectors. We have an opportunity to work to capitalise on the economic opportunities presented here, employment for our local people and find local jobs, especially for our young people. While this growing opportunity presents us with economic opportunities, it does present us with a challenge to balance that with protecting our unique biodiversity. That is why good strategic land use planning is so critical to what we do as a council. The Community Strategic Plan outlines a range of challenges and opportunities, including those I've mentioned, and then responds with a series of goals of how we, as a community, want to take collective action and work together to achieve a vision we all have for the Tweed. However, council will not and cannot achieve that alone. Other levels of government are responsible for some parts of the goals we have outlined in our draft Community Strategic Plan. And council needs to work with those tiers of government to progress that plan. As always, business and industry, not-for-profits and community organisations, as well as individuals, have an important role to play in us achieving our goals and aspirations in the plan. Council will play across all of the goals, whether it be to lead the action directly or provide services and programs, advocate for the community, or collaborate with those to make the better today. Council delivery program and operation plan and a range of other supporting documents are also on public exhibition. They all respond to the Community Strategic Plan and they are all interrelated. These documents are all part as well of what is called the Integrated Planning and Reporting Framework, or IPR Framework. It's a statutory framework set by the state government that all councils in New South Wales need to follow. In essence, the IPR framework begins with the broader operations for the next 10 years. It then includes a suite of integrated plans that set out visions and goals and strategic actions to achieve them. It also involves a reporting structure to communicate progress to council and to you, the community, as well as a structured timeline to review to ensure the goals and actions are still relevant. The delivery program and operational plan set out the specific programs, projects and activities the council plans to implement over 12 months to work toward achieving the long-term goals in the 4 key priority areas outlined within the Community Strategic Plan. The 4-year delivery program then works in sync with our resources strategy, particularly the long-term financial plan and workforce management plan, to not only set out what we will do, but importantly to make sure we can resource it appropriately. So while we continue to meet our obligations in response to the floods, These documents will help that we continue to plan for and make progress in the future, our local future in the longer term. As you can see from this diagram up on the board, the Community Strategic Plan is central to all of the strategic plans, and central to the Community Strategic Plan is you, the community, and that's why this is central to what we're doing tonight. I encourage you to review the draft Community Strategic Plan, delivery program, operational plan, and all of the supporting documentation such as our resourcing strategy and long-term financial plan while they're on exhibition. I encourage you to let us know what you agree with, what you think can be improved, or indeed if we've missed anything. That is really our collective plan for our community. Finally, I'd like to thank you all for taking the time out of your busy schedules to be with us here tonight and for your participation in this progress. Thank you, and I'm going to hand over to our Director of Corporate Services, the Mayor. No worries. Thank you, Chris. And I've got to give you this. No, it's for the recording. I think so.
Thank you very much. I'm actually going to be very quick. Firstly, I'd just like to apologise for being late. As you can imagine, it took a lot longer to get here because of all the potholes I had to dodge getting here. That's not actually true. I have a sick horse and my she was running a bit late, so that was why I was so late. But I'd like to acknowledge Councillor Polglaze there at the back and all of the executive level staff that are here on their own time tonight to listen to you and to hear what is important. And I'd really just like to say that potholes are important and they do impact on us every day, obviously. But tonight's very much about the vision and what you want to see in the next 10 years in our future going forward. How we keep our people safe in times of natural disaster, how you'd like to see us manage the growth across the Shire, and how we're going to homes that can be affordable for our children and their children ahead of them. So I think we want to hear what you want to protect, whether it's our lifestyle, whether it's our environment, whether it's, whatever is the most important things to you here in the Shire. And we certainly want to make sure that we're getting and taking what you want and your vision forward over the next 10 years. And I'll hand over to our Director for Corporate Services.
So a very warm welcome to all of you. My name's Warren van Wyk, the Director of Corporate Services. And together with all the directors here this evening, so you have Stuart Brawley on this table that looks after sustainable communities environment, David Oxenham on that table that looks after engineering, and Vince Connell on that table that looks after planning and regulation, and John Lofthouse on this table that looks after sustainability and environment. It's always a test to make sure you get these things exactly right. Now, with the diagram itself, and we use this extensively when we're engaging with councillors, when we're engaging with staff, because the Office of Local Government or the state government says, this is your integrated planning and reporting framework. What they're really tonight, we're focusing primarily on the orange bit, the community strategic plan, because that's really your aspirations, your priorities for the future, your vision, what's most to you. While we may have done a bit of groundwork, we've picked up all the stuff from engagement, we reviewed what's not working and developed a draft. What's important is your views as to does that make sense or not. So within this framework, that purple bit is really what we say with engagement. We want to find out, are we on track with what we're planning or we're not on track with what we're planning. So for example, when you look at what we've done, and I'm going to talk particularly about the Be Our Best. We do this survey every 2 years, and in 2019, for example, we did it in the end of last year, we did the Be Our Best Resident Survey. That's really important to us because what it asks is across those key services that you in the community see on an ongoing basis. What's important to you? How satisfied are you with what's being delivered? So that gives us a good sense, if you like, at a big picture, higher level as to how on track are we or aren't we. that tells us what your priorities are, tells us what you value here, and it helps to build into, when you looked at that earlier diagram, Troy spoke about the delivery program, the operational plan, and the budget. It helps us to work out at a more detailed project level how we're going to deliver on those things. So for that survey itself, when it looked at how much people love living here, how much you love living here, 97% of people said they love the Tweed. They love the quality of life, they love the connectivity between people, they love being here. It doesn't mean there aren't challenges with being there. It doesn't mean that there's things that we've got to do far better than we are. But people love being here, whether they're born in the Tweed and grew up in the Tweed, or whether they've moved in from elsewhere. They just love being here. So amongst the things that people value most, as you see, is the natural environment, our open spaces, beautiful scenery and beaches. And as you see, tourism is many people coming to the Tweed and the Northern Rivers because it's such a stunning place. Our beaches have been rated before as amongst the best, you know, when you rate them with beaches across Australia. So a highly desirable location. Friendly community. One of the things that struck me in chatting to a number of businesses that went through this very difficult flood period, they've said despite all those challenges, and they're huge and many challenges, they said the thing that shone is how the communities come together. How they supported one another to keep each other safe, to make sure that people had the opportunity to get on their feet as quickly as possible. And for all of us, whether it's council, the government, you know, all of us want to come together to make sure that we value people and we support people in what they need. So we love Tweed for its location, but as I said within that Be Our Best survey, as much as 97% of people say it's fantastic, we love the connection between people, there's the opportunities for improvement. And out of those opportunities, improvement, as the Mayor said jokingly, is the local road network is one of those things. And every survey pretty much around the top, and you can go from local government to local government, is the road network sits pretty much at the top. Why? Because you drive on it every single day and you see the issues that come up every single day. But it's not the only thing. Read the papers. Affordable housing is really a topical issue, not just here in Tweed, but across New South Wales. But here, the pressure's for us. It's a growing community. Lots of people want to be here. How do you ensure affordable housing for people? What about managing population growth and overdevelopment? So those were the three critical issues: local road network, managing population growth and overdevelopment, and affordable housing. So out of that, for us, it's not surprising then the biggest opportunities clearly are focusing on our roads, focusing on long-term planning, a DA process, so where an application is put in for, whether it's a business or it's a mom and dad that want to build something or they want some adjustment to the community housing. And the other fifth area that the community said that they're really keen on for us to do a lot of continuing work is around community consultation. So it's engaging with you, finding out your thoughts, and it's not just when we're doing the community strategic plan, because it's great to do that after an election, but you don't want us to do it again 4 or 5 years, or as in this case 5 years time because of the delay in the election. You want us to do this on an ongoing basis. You want to know how we're doing on this track. Are we effective? Where do we need to change? How does our budget look? So for all of us, that's a really important part of the picture. What we've done also is engagement. As much as we're having conversations with yourself, which are referred to community conversations, are others. So tomorrow morning we chat what we refer to as the Riga Stakeholder Forum. So that represents community groups, residents associations. They represent those groups, but we're keen to know their opinion and view as well, is are we on track? And again tomorrow we'll catch up in Mawilla with members and get their views. So we're trying to do this across the community, right, what we're planning to do. Other things, for example, are our councillors. They speak to you on a daily basis. Their views are really important for us to find out, are we on track with those things? They've got to approve the budget for us, so their views are really important. Our staff as well that deliver those service advisory committees, so many members of the community are on those advisory committees in the same way. So all I'm trying to emphasize is Your views are really important. We don't undertake surveys and say, great, let's do it. We're all right, 90%, say they love Tweed. It's where do we need to go to the next level? Where do we need to improve? How can we adjust on those things? That's the feedback with the community strategic plan. But what you're really here for tonight is the community strategic plan itself and the review. And what we've got is we've got 4 key streams that we're going to tables tonight. Shannon in a moment is going to go through the process, but each of these tables in turn are going to focus on each of those streams. So through the course of the night, you'll have an opportunity to talk through all of those streams or focus areas. The first one of those, and it's an obvious one, if you're living in the Tweed, if I'd ask you, I'm sure 95 to 99% of you will get it right, is we want a healthy natural environment. Because that's what stands out in this area. It's fantastic. So in an internationally significant environment with high biodiversity, amongst the best in Australia, we feel a shared responsibility, you do, we do, working with government to value and continue to value it moving forward. So it's not only what council does in the space, and we are a keen stakeholder in making a difference, it's working with you, with business and anybody else to make a difference in actively working together. So on this table this evening, Jane Lofthouse here is going to be looking after that as the first stream. And as I say, we'll make sure that we rotate between all the tables. And I think it's Jane will rotate and Vince will rotate, so you can stay where you are. Enjoy your food, enjoy your drinks. You don't have to go anywhere else. Stock up, and we'll make sure that we come around and have a chat to you. The second stream, which is also an obvious, like when you're driving potholes, none of us goes and tries to hit a pothole head on, because that doesn't make sense. I did do it from time to time, but not on purpose. It's why, because we want to be safe. We don't want something to happen to our car. We don't want something to happen to us. So safety for us is really important, but it's whether it's on the roads, it's in home, it's in the community. So for example, safety includes when you flush the toilet, you're expecting this is going to work. It's basic. When you turn on your tap, you expect the water to come out. So we expect all those basic things to be there, but that we can have them safely. So it's not just water, but safe drinking water. The waste, that it's removed safely, that our homes and our environment remain safe. So it's a fundamental need for us, and we really do believe that as a council we do provide those safe aspects on drinking water, the removal of waste, etc. But it's knowing where could we do better on those things. So around the aspects that you see in front of you, don't worry that you're going to miss anything, because the facilitator on each of your tables will go through that detail. So we'll focus on that. Also, when it comes to safety, an important part of what we do is, for example, inspect business premises. So if you go to a restaurant, you're hoping you're not going to get food poisoning, that the kitchens are clean and the practices are safe. So they're included in the vast array of services that council provides and want to make sure we do effectively. Third area is we want Tweed's people and places to thrive. Because isn't that what really makes a difference? While we've got the services that we expect, it's connected and active as a community, again, it's working out where can we improve things. And in relation to that, Stuart Brawley is going to lead the discussion around that people and places. And I think I missed out in saying David will focus on the safe places, safe communities, safe